Hello, and thank you for participating in this webinar to learn about PTA's new membership campaign. I am Wanda Tony, the Director of Strategic Communications for National PTA, and I'll be leading today's training along with our National PTA President, Leslie Boggs, and two of our communication consultants from Edelman, Amy Fox and Jacqueline Stewart. Let's get started. We have a packed agenda with lots of information to share with you. Our goal for this training is to provide you with a thorough understanding of PTA's new membership campaign and enable us to speak with one consistent voice about the value of PTA. We're going to review why this campaign is so important and gain a thorough understanding of the research and insights used to inform the creation of the campaign. Next, we'll take a deep look at how we need to talk about PTA and membership. Then we'll review the exciting and dynamic visuals that you can use on your website, in emails, and on social media. Finally, we'll review next steps and how you can start implementing the campaign.
I really want to thank you for participating in this training session. This new membership campaign is not only exciting, but it is critically important to PTA and its future success. There are many reasons why we're here and why we're committed to PTA. At the core, we're all here, and the reason we're here is because in one way, shape, or form, we're dedicated to PTA's mission to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. And we're also committed to our values of collaboration, commitment, diversity, respect, and accountability. And now more than ever, it is critically important that PTA is successful and successfully positioned to support all children today and into the future. Yet, we know that PTA's critical role is not universally understood or recognized. In fact, there's a lot of skepticism of and misperceptions about PTA. PTA is often easily dismissed as cliquish and only for stay-at-home moms or only for families who look a certain way. It is abundantly clear that many people don't understand how PTA supports children, families, teachers, schools, and their communities. And these quotes appearing on the screen may or may not surprise you. These were all gathered from the research that we conducted to develop the new membership campaign. These perceptions impact not just your school, but all of PTA. And we see it most acutely in the decline in PTA membership across the country. We know that PTA has evolved since its founding more than 120 years ago, but its basic function still remains the same: to support, advocate for, and connect parents and teachers to ensure all children reach their full potential. Yet joining PTA is not always seen as necessary or essential for parents of school-age children. And with the presence that we have now currently of 22,000 schools, by speaking in one voice, we have the opportunity to tell a very compelling and powerful story about who we are, what we stand for, and why PTA is so important. So, whether or not these quotes surprise you, or it's exactly what you expected to see, it's not how we want PTA to be perceived. And that's really why we're here today. Now, we'll learn more about the very insightful research findings.
To build a successful campaign, we must start with research. This ensures that our thinking is grounded in fact, not assumption, allowing us to identify the best ways to reach your target audiences. For PTA, we conducted primary and secondary research to help us gather internal and external perceptions of PTA. This helped to inform our overall campaign plan and create messaging and visuals that communicate who PTA is in an authentic, compelling, and unique way. To ensure our campaign had this strong foundation, we conducted several phases of research so we could gain new insights about the barriers to membership and further explore attitudes and opinions about PTA and its work. First, During PTA's National Government Retreat in September, we conducted a focus group. The goal of the focus group was to explore the challenges and opportunities currently facing PTA. To do this, we conducted a series of interactive exercises among small groups. Next, we fielded a nationwide online survey of nearly 1,500 people, both current members and non-members. The objectives of this survey were to do the following: understand current perceptions of PTA among members and non-members, determine what is motivating people to join and what barriers there are to membership, gauge how to increase engagement among current and prospective members, and finally, to uncover key audience segments and gain insights on what kind of messaging resonates with our target audiences. Building on this survey, we conducted a series of in-depth interviews, also among members and non-members. The objectives of the interviews were to understand the goals parents have for their children that motivate them to give and participate in school activities, identify current perceptions of PTA, explore barriers non-members face when considering PTA membership, clarify the value proposition for PTA and factors that might compel prospective members to join. We then took the findings from both the survey and the in-depth interviews and created audience personas of important audience segments. The objectives of this audience personas and segmentation were to gain a deeper understanding of the motivations, challenges, and opportunities of these audiences. The final piece was a brand workshop that we conducted with PTA leadership and staff. The objectives of this workshop were to align on key challenges deterring people from joining the PTA that National PTA can solve for, and jointly develop targeted messaging recommendations that can address these challenges for our key audiences. It was quite a lot of research, but it provided us with deep understanding and insights that allowed us to develop this campaign. The complete body of research is fascinating, and now I'll take some time to walk you through our top findings and insights. Current PTA members do not need to be convinced that PTA is important, but they want to see the impact the organization has at the local and national level with tangible examples. They also believe in the full breadth of benefits PTA provides, but the core to their motivation to staying involved are the friendships they form and how PTA helps to improve their community. For members, while they're already bought into the benefits of PTA, they do want to see the personal relevance to their child. The reasons to be involved are important, but it's the emotional connection that's going to maintain involvement. Despite believing in the value of the PTA, members are uncertain about the organization's future. Whether or not PTA's best days are ahead is unknown for many. This is rooted in a belief that the PTA is too bureaucratic and slow to change. To change this opinion, they need to see examples of tangible impact and the organization's future vision. Finally, even current PTA members find participation difficult. This is because they see that their local PTAs often tap the same individuals and do not represent the entire school community. Current members also believe there are issues with exclusivity and a belief that it's only for stay-at-home moms. For prospective members, PTA brand awareness is strong, but there's very little understanding of PTA. Without a basic knowledge of what PTA does, its impact, its mission, prospects default to preconceived stereotypes. Prospective members also need to see the direct impact on their child. Once prospective members are presented with more information and messaging about PTA, they're more positive and receptive to the idea of membership. Finally, there's a strong desire and need for diversity and inclusion. Multicultural audiences are eager to be engaged in their child's education and want to find additional ways to help their children succeed. Therefore, more inclusive messaging and engagement must happen at the local PTA level. Increasing multicultural participation is an opportunity for PTA and absolutely necessary for membership growth. The demographics of our society are changing, but what remains the same is that all parents have the strong desire to see their children thrive and succeed. Messaging must ring true to multicultural audiences, as well as families that are not two-parent, single-income households. Messaging that PTA is accepting of all families and cultures won't be effective if the local PTA experience does not reinforce this. As a result, local PTA behavior impacts the ability to broaden membership. Meeting times, cliquishness, and participation limited to a few individuals can drive eager parents to other organizations or activities. Last but not least, Latino audiences face significant perception barriers, particularly believing that PTA is not inclusive. They are more likely to believe PTA is biased against low-income and non-English speaking families, as well as undocumented immigrants. To develop our audience segments, our researchers looked at responses about PTA and various personal values and lifestyles, allowing us to identify audiences that are most likely to join PTA. Our priority segments are the eager to engagers. Eager to engagers are composed of highly engaged, diverse, social, younger parents who want to be involved in their children's education on a deep level. They comprise 38% of our survey sample. On secondary segment are the busy multitaskers. Busy multitaskers are motivated by having a relationship with educators and a high level of awareness of school happenings. They are more likely to be white moms. Our next secondary segment are the skeptical potentials. Skeptical potentials are diverse and engaged in their kids' education. However, they are dissatisfied with their school's ability to involve them and are hesitant to engage with other parents. More specifically, eager to engagers are diverse, with more men and multicultural parents. Maintaining their cultural heritage is important to them, and they have immediate family members born outside of the US. They are more millennials with children in elementary school. They are sociable and they engage with their kids daily. They're also more motivated to make a difference in their child's school and advocate for children's issues. They face many barriers related to a lack of time, but they also have a desire to be involved in other ways. Our busy multitaskers are active and present in their schools, but time constraints in many activities compete for their time. They're most likely to be female and white parents living in suburban communities. They work full-time, but a large portion are homemakers. Their children tend to begin falling into older grades, moving into middle and high school. They have a high presence and participation in their school already. Several activities are competing for their time. Their greatest motivators relate to wanting to form a relationship with educators. They're less familiar with PTA and are unsure of its future value. They want to make a difference and are engaged, but they need direction on how PTA can help. Skeptical potentials are most likely to be Latino and a large portion of Black parents. They are slightly older, with older children in middle and high school. They're more likely to rate the school's ability to involve them as just fair or even poor. They consider themselves outspoken, but are not as likely to view themselves as sociable. They are more interested in talking to other parents at their school, but worry that they don't know other parents well enough, preventing them from being more involved. They also show strong interest in making a difference in child advocacy issues. From our research, we identified the following key insights that helped guide our campaign development. No explicit ask to join. That's right. Potential members said a top barrier to joining PTA was simply that they were never asked to join. They were frequently asked to support PTA fundraisers, however. Lack of understanding of the value of PTA. Current members had difficulty explaining the role of PTA and how it supports education and curriculum needs, serves as an important advocate for children, or how it builds school community. They often see PTA as a social club and did not understand the role of PTA, the community it builds between the school and families, or see how their dues or fundraising activities directly impacted their child. Confusion about what PTA membership means. Our research found that people were not even sure if they were members. Specifically, they felt that PTA membership is confusing, inconsistent, and not universally understood. And most interpreted it as time-consuming, with volunteering and attending meetings being requirements of membership. not welcoming to all types of families. Parents would like to see a more diverse PTA membership base, representative of our growing multicultural communities, to reflect an inclusive and welcoming school community. Everyone is interested once they understand the role of PTA. The research also uncovered that while PTA is engaging everyone at the school, particular audiences, including multicultural families, younger parents, and fathers, are especially interested in PTA's impact and getting involved in their child's education.
To achieve these goals, we developed a creative campaign that will motivate and drive PTA membership, both new membership and renewals. And to do that, we have to move from the perceptions of the cliquish social club and highlight the value and the impact of PTA, and that membership involves as much or as little time as you have to offer. And finally, we know that a successful membership recruitment activities and events vary from school to school. So we built this campaign with that in mind, and we built it so that you can bolster your existing membership activities, not replace what you're already doing successfully. With the research findings as our foundation, our goal was to develop the membership campaign that addressed several key issues that we just outlined. First, as we said, many people said they are frequently asked to contribute to PTA, but not asked to join. Therefore, we need to make sure that the ask to join PTA is clear and direct so that no one can say they weren't ever asked to join. We also need to concisely articulate the value of PTA using actual examples of the work done in individual schools. We also need to clearly explain what membership is and what it isn't, moving from confusion about membership to directly addressing concerns about requirements for meeting attendance, volunteering, and fundraising. And members and non-members are looking for PTA to diversify and reflect the broader community, including better gender parity. And we must demonstrate that PTA is for everyone. If you have a child at school, if you are a teacher, if you are a member of the community, you have a place in PTA. And finally, we need to clearly communicate that impact in real and actionable ways. And to achieve these goals, we developed the creative campaign designed to motivate and drive PTA membership. Our campaign approach is constructed to shift those perceptions away from PTA is extra to PTA is essential, by clearly showing how PTA specifically helps their child succeed. And with that, we now introduce PTA's new campaign approach. PTA is no longer a noun, it's a verb. It's an action plan working to support your child's success. It is an invitation to every family in every school because we can do more together than we can do apart. There is no wrong way to PTA, just as long as you're doing it for your child. You can give money by joining and donating. You can volunteer time and effort, or you can help grow our strength and presence at the local, state, and national level as advocates for improving your child's education. This new definition of PTA is to support your child's potential in one of multiple ways, to invest for your child's potential, to volunteer for your child's potential, and to advocate for your child's potential. So now how do you put this into action? How do you communicate this concept of PTA being a verb? And what does the campaign actually look like? We'll now show you how to PTA for your child. The messaging that we're about to outline will serve as your guide for how to speak about the value of PTA membership and should be used as the foundation for all membership communications. Don't worry, you don't need to read this closely, but this is an overview of the message framework that we developed and how it all comes together. We will begin to walk through this in this section. This framework is comprised of a theme, an overarching narrative, and three supporting message pillars focused on education, advocacy, and community, and proof of PTA's work and impact that support each of the message pillars. This framework is included as part of the materials that accompany the membership campaign toolkit. The membership campaign theme is PTA for your child. The theme is clear, concise, and can be used to motivate and recruit new members and engage existing members. We use the theme to inform the messaging and many of the social media assets. We also will provide ideas on how to swap out PTA and replace it with relevant verbs that demonstrate PTA's value, action, and impact. PTA to support your child. PTA offers all parents and caregivers the opportunity to be engaged in their child's potential. Being a member of PTA means that you are part of a powerful association and action plan that is focused on programs and initiatives that strengthen your child's education and the family-school partnership. However you PTA, it's all an investment in your child. PTA to support your child's teachers and curriculum. PTA to advocate on the issues impacting your child and affect change at the local, state, and national levels. PTA to build a stronger, more diverse, inclusive school community. There's no wrong way to PTA, and we invite every family to participate because we can do more together than apart. How do you PTA? That is our overarching message, and that is the framework for all of our communications. Now that I've read that messaging to you, I want to highlight how we've pulled through the insights from the research into this messaging. First and foremost, we really take directly head on the impact on your individual and child. Our research showed that was critically important to engaging new members. Second, we want to focus on how PTA is for every parent and caregiver and every family. Then we show what PTA is focusing on, what its purpose and mission is. We also want to say that however you PTA, to reinforce both the notion of PTA as a verb and that there is no right or wrong way to be a member. It is up to you. We also emphasize the desire and commitment to diversity and inclusion. And then closing out, once again reinforcing that PTA membership can be anything you want it to be, and providing a call to action and asking you, how do you PTA? Bringing it back to you as an individual and giving you that license to define how you want to be a member. The elevator speech is a clear and concise articulation of the value of PTA. This takes the messaging and puts it into simple, direct terms. The elevator speech really provides you with a quick and easy answer to, why should I join PTA? Or what does PTA do? You'll see some of the same or similar language from the overarching message, and this is intentional. We know that if people hear the same messages over and over, and in particular at least 3 times, they'll really begin to absorb and understand. So do not be afraid of repetition of messaging. Once again, I want to call out a few key elements. Focusing again on supporting your child and their individual impact. Highlighting what PTA actually does for the school and for children. Clearly articulating that commitment to diversity. Providing an open invitation, that direct ask to join. Again, we don't want anyone ever to say they weren't specifically asked to join PTA. And then demonstrating the impact, the actual work of PTA. And driving home, there are no requirements of membership other than paying dues. And closing out here with a personal appeal. By joining PTA, you will have a positive impact on your child and their potential. The supporting themes and corresponding messages shown here elaborate on the overarching message and highlight the 3 areas that define PTA and what it supports: education, advocacy, and community. Focusing PTA's supporting themes and messages around 3 key areas is critical to reshaping the current perceptions of PTA. For education, we need to think about how does PTA support students, teachers, and curriculum needs. With advocacy, we need to consider how does PTA advocate on behalf of children at your school and at the local, state, and national levels. And for community, how is PTA a welcoming, inclusive community committed to strengthening the connections of all families? Along with each supporting theme and message, we have developed proof points that are the supporting facts for each theme and literally serve as the proof. Now we're going to review each supporting theme in depth. And as we go through each one and the corresponding proof points, I want you to begin to think about how you can tailor the proof points to your local PTA. Education. PTA to support critical academic needs. PTA to fund essential school resources and curriculum needs, including investments in technology, the arts, and science programming. First and foremost, we want to highlight why kids are in school in the first place, to learn and to receive an education. Therefore, we really want to show the direct impact PTA has by supporting those critical academic needs of each school. We have also used the PTA as a verb in bringing this construct to life for all the pillar messages to drive home this concept and make it more real throughout our messaging. Here we provide proof points, the fact-based examples from a national PTA perspective. PTA offers STEM-based learning resources for families through the STEM Plus Families program, which includes the STEM at Home activities, Math Nights with Mathnasium, and science festivals. PTA provides school access to experts, resources, trainings, and dozens of nationally recognized educational enrichment programs, including the Family Reading Experience in partnership with Reading is Fundamental. And PTA funds the nation's largest and longest running student arts program, Reflections, which provides students access to arts, music, literature, dance, drama, and visual arts. While this is important and effective to share the proof points from national PTA, we do strongly encourage you to develop your own proof points, and you can use a combination of both national, state, and local proof points as well. As noted, these should be facts or even data points, not anecdotes or opinions. For advocacy, give a voice to important issues. PTA to be an active voice at the local, state, and national levels, and to impact decisions affecting your child's health, safety, and quality of education. In our research, we found that parents want PTA to serve as an advocate, and when they learned more about advocacy efforts, they felt more favorable about joining PTA. Therefore, again, we want to drive home that PTA and its members give voice to these issues and really emphasize the advocacy work of PTA at all levels. The proof points, again, are from the national level, and these include PTA is the oldest and largest child advocacy association in America, comprised of over 22,000 local PTAs and nearly 3.5 million members. During the past 120 years, PTA's national advocacy has helped establish universal kindergarten, the National School Lunch Program, and the juvenile justice system and anti-child labor laws. PTAs are important advocates at the local and state levels, from the Florida PTA defeating for-profit school management companies to Washington State PTA securing passage of an education reform bill that redefined the state's program of basic education. Once again, it is really important for you to think about how to localize these proof points. And if you don't have ones at your local PTA level, please look to your regional, county, state PTA as well as national PTA. Community. Build a stronger, more inclusive school. I want to stop for a moment and really talk about community. As we know from our research and our own experience, the notion of a social club and/or exclusive clique is often associated with PTA. And what we didn't want to do is completely dismiss or ignore the social aspect of PTA, because we also know that is an important part of the organization that we found through our research. So what we did was deliberately reframe this concept of a social club to community, because that is what a lot of the important social activities do, build community among families and with the teachers and administrators. Community also allows us to tackle the important desire and necessity for all PTAs to demonstrate a real commitment to both diversity and inclusion and be an organization that welcomes all families. You'll also see changing the notion of social club to community come to life in a fun and playful way in our social media graphics, and we'll review that later on. So for community, we really want to clearly state that it means building stronger, more inclusive school. PTA to strengthen connections between your family, your child's classmates, their families, and teachers to build a thriving and inclusive community for everyone. Again, to demonstrate this from a national level, our proof points include, as a network of over 22,000 schools in nearly 3.5 million families, PTA connects parents and caregivers, students and teachers at the local, state, and national level. PTA supports local needs and strengthens communities across the country. From Georgia, where PTA sponsors vision clinics for low-income students, and Detroit, where PTA runs after-school programs, to California, where PTA created a buddy system between families with limited English proficiency and other bilingual families. PTA established National Teacher Appreciation Week over 30 years ago to bring together the entire school community to celebrate the outstanding contributions teachers make. From the local level, this is where you can talk about the festivals and carnivals, book fairs, movie nights, Spirit Week, teacher appreciation activities, and other community building activities.
How do we bring this all to life and drive interest and engagement? The messaging will serve as your guide for how to speak about the value of PTA membership, but the visual assets, the collateral materials and templates will be how to tell the story visually and dynamically. We have created an entire suite of materials for you to use. At the center here and core to the campaign is the campaign toolkit. This will include all information you will need about the campaign messaging and visuals, and includes all the information we're reviewing here today. We know it's critical to embrace digital communications and that many of you primarily rely on social media to communicate to parents and families in your school. So we created a campaign video and comprehensive suite of social media materials, as well as written materials to assist you in your membership campaign outreach. Finally, as you can see on the right, we've even included tips on how to get started, and we'll review in greater detail in a few moments. The PTA for your child's social media visual images or social media cards are designed for your PTA to use on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We have designed a complete suite of images that provide you with many options, including animated GIFs and customizable images to highlight your PTA's accomplishments and priorities for your school. Many of the social cards are easily customizable so that you can add in pictures from your school and specific proof points that articulate the impact of the programs locally. We also have materials that don't require customization if you prefer to use those instead. It's important to note that we provide detailed directions for how to customize the graphics so that anyone of any technical ability is able to add in images and or text. As mentioned earlier, we want to use this campaign to dispel many of the misperceptions associated with PTA. One way of doing this in a visual and fun way is through what we're calling our side-by-side graphics. As you can see here on the left is a misperception that PTA is only about fun activities. But the left side shows that it's about fun and important fundraising activities that supports the school curriculum, provides school supplies, and other key educational programs. As noted earlier, we don't necessarily want to hide from some of these misperceptions, but we want to use them to show what PTA is really about. The PTA for Your Child email and website banner images are designed for use in school-wide emails related to PTA membership activities and initiatives. Additionally, these images can be used on your PTA website for your school's homepage if it has a link to the PTA site. We also suggest hyperlinking the banner images directly to your membership registration page. We also suggest placing on the Join Now button graphics on your PTA website. The graphic should be hyperlinked so that when a user clicks on it, it will take them directly to a page to sign up for membership. The PTA for Your Child printable posters and flyers can be posted throughout the school or handed out to families at PTA meetings or any school-wide event hosted by the PTA. These printable posters and flyers can be customized to include your own PTA-related images, and we've included black and white and color options. The PTA for Your Child messaging and collateral materials are designed to integrate seamlessly into your current membership outreach strategy via the activities and communication channels you are already using to recruit new members and renewals. To kickstart your planning, we've outlined a short campaign rollout checklist for you to build into the first 30 days of your annual recruitment and use throughout the year. The good news, you've already completed the first step by viewing this training webinar. Next, we ask that you read through the toolkit and accompanying materials. This will allow you to thoroughly understand how to incorporate the campaign messaging and visuals into all membership communications. Review the campaign approach and materials with your executive board to inform them about the importance and necessity of this campaign. Update your website and begin using the messaging and visuals in all your PTA communication. Make joining easy by adding the membership language and a Join PTA link on all social media platforms and hyperlink images to your membership registration page. Create a communication schedule to develop a cadence of information being shared via and on social media. It's important to remember to ask people to join often, and that message repetition leads to better understanding. Use the full suite of visuals, alternating images, and messaging to engage and inform your followers. Clearly and consistently brand all the membership appeals with the visuals developed for this campaign. This includes using the hashtag PTA for your child and How Do You PTA, and clearly brand all PTA events. This will further increase awareness of PTA and its impact in your school. Finally, ask. Don't stop asking to join after the first month or so school has passed. Be sure to include membership messaging, including the benefits and impact of PTA membership in all communication throughout the year. And if you have any questions about implementation, National PTA is here as a resource. So please don't hesitate to reach out.
I hope you are as excited and inspired by this membership campaign as I am. Now it's time to think about how do you PTA and introduce and implement our new membership campaign in your state, region, or local PTA. We cannot thank you enough for the work that you do on behalf of PTA. You are making a difference in your child's education and the education of all students at your school and throughout your state and nation. It is our sincere hope and belief that this new membership campaign will increase membership and allow you to build on the important work you're already doing. So thank you again for so much you do and the time that you've dedicated to our association, PTA.